The sun comes up. I want to thank you all for coming this morning. It's our honor and it's our privilege to be back in Koln and back in Europe teaching. We're traveling across, I think, 9 countries, 13 centers in the next, well, it'll be about a month or 5 weeks in our journeys. And we're always happy to come back to Europe. It feels in some ways like home, and in some ways very foreign. It's hard to put in words coming from America and growing up in the Midwest and living since 1977 in California and Hawaii, to then come to Germany and to come to Europe, where everything is set with more definitive, you might say. And with that also comes more tradition. Whether tradition is positive or negative is always a discussion. Some has proven over history that tradition is really good, and others have proven that it's absolutely not, and it's actually detrimental. So I think what we could do, or I could do at least, is look at tradition and evaluate it from the heart. And since the heart has no opinion or no discrimination, then we might say, if what I'm thinking and doing customarily, if it's resonating from the heart, because the heart is where truth lies, not the mind. The mind doesn't know truth. It has too many opinions. And it might be truth today, but not truth tomorrow. So it's relative to the situations it seems. And when I was walking through Cologne, we walked about 4 hours yesterday in what I always wear. I never got so much looking at any place else, including Turkey, South Africa, India. But looking of, who is this? And I never ever get tired of being looked at, because that's just what it comes with, you might say, when I made this commitment. And yesterday on the way back after these 4 hours, and I don't think my husband's ever heard me say this, I said, I'm so tired of being looked at. Because I found that people they just see something different, and they just don't know what to do with it. And they just kind of like, they actually just really stare. I mean, just like, or they're all sitting in a cafe, and it's almost like a movie. If I shot a movie along the way, it probably would have been hilarious. Because I'm walking along like this, and everybody's eating, chewing, drinking, and then everything stops like a movie. And they're all like this, and they're all doing it, and they're all going like this. It was just like, and I think we aren't as present here, maybe. I don't know, but it was pretty amazing how differences can cause such a different reaction. And a lot of it is just ignorance. And if they really knew that I was just like them, my values and what I want in life is just like them. Happiness and pursuit of happiness.
Was it the same last year? Was it the same?
I never noticed this much, but maybe I never walked as much either. And so it was a pretty interesting thing for me to see if I could keep the thunder power of love going. Because part of me wanted to just shut it down and just say, stop staring at me, like that. And so I had to really evaluate myself. And maybe it had been this way the time before and I hadn't noticed it so much, I don't know. But I just see that when we separate ourselves, and separation is usually ignorance. It usually is just a not knowingness, a not understanding of the basic human values. And I know for myself, I've had occasions with those with Muslim faith, especially the women, because I see them in airports all the time. We're crossing always someplace in the world, and they're also traveling too. And I remember one time I was in the airport, I think it was in Kathmandu, and I was coming from Tibet, I think, going back to Delhi. And there were 3 of them there, and they were in black, and they were a bit older, and there was a 4th chair. So I thought, I'm going to go and sit next to him and see if we can make some kind of a connection. And my heart was very open. I'd been to Mount Kailash, and we were, you know how you come to a yoga conference and you're so full of love, and then you go out and you find everyone's not in the same frequency because they hadn't spent this weekend together. And so I was sitting there, and I could make no connection. It's like Mittens and David Formore's soul. Everyone's looking for a connection. But I couldn't get that coming from them, looking for the connection. And nothing. So I let it be. It was fine. And then as years went on, several years later, well, every year I'm in the airport, and I'm so attracted to the women because they've made this commitment, and they're being looked at a lot probably too. And so the last place I think we were in, it might have been Frankfurt. We were coming back from India, South Africa. We were in Joburg, and they were down there, and there was a bunch of them. There were like 15 of them, and we had to wait like an hour and a half for our flight. And there was a family, and it was so glorious. They were hugging each other. The kids were running up to their mamas, and I think there was a grandma there, and the guys were hugging, and I think people were coming and going, like family had come, they were meeting, greeting at the airport, and some were leaving. And I watched the whole play in the back, and I just loved it. There was so much love, I can't even tell you. It was just flowing over with this extended family. And they were kind of looking at me too, and they were wearing the veil. But then when the girls ate, of course they're not going to eat through the veil, or they take it off. And they were eating and talking like all of us as girlfriends. It was so cute. They were going like this and laughing and eating and talking with each other and having a conversation like women do. And just catching up or whatever they were doing. They were laughing and carrying on. And then the oldest woman, she was the matron she met. So she comes over and she says, so we're all looking at you. What are you? Because here I'm white, I wear this. People can't put it together. And I said, well, I'm a Sikh, but I'm American. And I said, and what are you all doing here? And she said, well, I'm the grandmother, and my whole family is taking me, where was it? It was to Spain, someplace, Canary Islands, Mallorca, someplace for holiday. And they were taking her. They were all traveling business. There were about 15 of them. And so they were moving forward. And I said, and can I ask you a question? Okay. She was asking this, that. Thought I could ask her a question. Why don't you wear the veil? She was the only one without the veil on. I'm too old. It was so cute. It was so human. It was so real. And I felt so much love because we had bridged the gap, knowing that there was, because I told her I had a daughter and I was married, and it brought the familiarity together that there is only one God. And that to prevail on earth and to last this earth, and for all of us to live in that pursuit of happiness, which is our human right, all of us, we need to live from this thunder power of love, from the heart, because otherwise there's too many differences, too much discrimination inside the mind from your conditioning. And because even you who sit here as yogis in union, we still have historical data inside our head from our mother's womb, from past lives, first 3 years of our lives. I know as a child growing up out of Chicago, I had really good parents, but they had very definite prejudices. My father really disliked Jewish people. I didn't even know what Jewish people were. We only had one family in our whole town. And I always have looked back to why he welcomed black folks into our home, all religions. And I asked my brother, I'm going on 69, he's about 71. He came to visit me. I said, Bruce, why was he against Jewish people? What was wrong? And he said, I think he had bad relationships with them in Chicago when he'd go to buy things, because they were businessmen. And he was just a simple man from Iowa. And I don't think he knew how to bargain. And they bargained. And he wasn't used to that. And he always thought they were getting a better deal. So out of that came the whole race, you know? It's a very funny thing how we do conclusions, how we conclude everything. And so I ask you tonight, or this morning, to go into your hearts and just see if there's any prejudice or discrimination about anybody. It doesn't have to be a faith, a religion, or color. It can be a body size. It can be a gender. It can be an age. It can be a nationality. It can be if somebody has a lot of money and someone doesn't. If someone has a lot of education and someone doesn't. If we could see the God in everyone, there could never ever be war again. In all the differences, the way we look, the country we're from, everything. But it's really big, and you really have to work diligently as a yogi to clear, to every time it comes up, to become conscious of it and to clear it. By identifying it, really. It comes up, it comes at you. Oh, that's a prejudice. And you might even remember where it came from, too. So, that's the thunder power of love. Because love is constant. Love is love. Love is forever. And Yogi Bhajanaya said, if you don't see God at all, then you don't see God at all. We all know that religion is that which has caused more wars in the history of humanity than anything. And again, religion in a sense is just an opinion. It's who you think your God is versus what somebody else thinks. The heart has no opinion. The heart only sees us as one. And in the coming future of this world, we'll have to come to that. Because now we're at a very pivotal place that we can't anymore really, for Mother Earth and for the scientists and labs, for those developing all kinds of things that can actually destroy all of us, not just one part of us. That we really need to. And as yogis, I feel we are the most important people. We're not any better. No, sir, Bob. Not any better. But we have more of a duty and more of a responsibility than anybody else for what we can do if we declare that our path is yoga, which means union. Then we need to be more diligent than anybody to change our consciousness so we can live that union, which has no division, which has no opinions. You think we can do it? That's why you're all here. That's why you're all doing yoga. You've been chosen from many, many lifetimes to be here now collectively. Many of you are from different countries, different backgrounds, different religions. Or no religion now, doesn't matter. But that you live and we live in union. Maybe, perhaps we can start with not competing in different schools of yoga. Not even competing in all of our clotheslines and all of our stuff that we're developing around yoga. Our yoga mats, our different lines of clothes, our different lines of da-da-da, to help each other create a new form of business now, a new form of humanity now, by honoring all forms and not having an opinion about yoga. My yoga is the best. I like that. I don't like that. I like that teacher. I don't like that. We go on and on and on. And if we don't watch it, we could end up like religions that do big splits. And then we don't come to do our yoga. That's why yoga's come right now. That's why it appeared really about in 1969 in America and found its way over to Europe shortly thereafter. We are the ones we've been waiting for. Use this lifetime. Use this lifetime well. Thank you. Use this lifetime to bring union to your own heart, to your families, to your community, to your workplaces. Do work that has meaning, that will help bring the union on planet Earth. Whether it's the environment, the foods we're eating, the schools we're building, the products we're making, whatever you're doing, make sure it goes back to the heart. Otherwise, this lifetime you lose, and I'll tell you that for sure. You'll think you're not. You'll think you're making a lot of money, getting a big education, doing this and that. But in the end, you will lose. Because the Aquarian age that we're coming into 2012 is about union. If you are doing something in your workplace that is not conducive to union, then be brave enough and change jobs. Or take your talents in law and use them to help build unity, not to divide. If you're making a product that is not environmentally clean, helping the earth, either stop making that product or find a way that is helping Mother Earth. We've got to do it now, because if yogis don't do it, you can't go ask the pharmaceuticals to do it. They don't even know what I'm talking about. If you're a doctor, be sure you're adding in diet, herbs, how to live, yoga. Whatever you're doing, take it back to the heart. See if the heart resonates with it. And that's where you'll find happiness. Otherwise you won't. You'll keep chasing it your whole life. Don't do that. Don't take your last breath out of fear like, darn, I didn't do what I came to do. Do it now. Change today. And the universe will support you. Creator will support you. Everyone will support you. Okay? Yeah? Yeah. I know many of you are already doing it, and that's good. And help others who are a little scared to make that step. I find one of the best things you can do is become a yoga teacher. The best offering you can give to the world right now. If this yoga changed your life, then why not turn around and go help all those others as you were before you took your first class.